Hello everyone. The situation is grim in Gaza. The stellar failure of the United Nations is very evident. Why has India time and again called for a reformed United Nations Security Council sets itself true in situations like these? Other than this, if we are going to talk about the entire situation, I am also going to unravel the current situation that is going on. Of course, who is Israel's own Osama bin Laden? In brief, we are also going to talk about Operation Neptune Spear. By the end of this class, you will also find a preliminary question. Answer that and I will announce your names in the upcoming class. Do not worry about notes because I will provide the notes through my Telegram channel, and that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, do talk to me on my Instagram. Follow me on my threads. West Asia is collapsing on itself. The thing is that we are very saddened by the situation. India specifically is, because India had high hopes of connecting to Europe through this region. But the instability of this region is pretty evident right now. Not only that, the world is being divided into two blocks. One block is supporting Israel, second block is supporting Palestine. And the United Nations, on the basis of that, has failed to achieve yet another time any consensus between these two blocs. Although the Indian Prime Minister did support Israel, but the Ministry of External Affairs has come out with a statement, which is the official statement that is relevant for your UPSC examination, that we stand by the solution based on sovereignty of Palestine. But of course, we have flagged Hamas as a militant group, a terrorist group. Now the thing, as I have already told you time and again, Iran's involvement through Hezbollah, if Iran properly gets involved in that, Hezbollah is already attacking Israel from Lebanese territory. But if Iran gets involved, high chances are there that countries from the Arabian Peninsula, such as Saudi Arabia, thereafter Western regions, such as the USA, will also have to get involved. There goes our dream of connecting to Europe through the Middle East or West Asia. Now, of course, as I have from the very beginning told you, it's own Osama, Israel's own Osama. Who is he? He is the butcher of Khan Yunis, as labeled by IDR, Israel Defense Forces, and he is Yahya Sinwar. According to the allegations that Israel has put, the current situation as in the current attacks on the southern region of Israel, in the first 20 minutes of the Operation Al-Aqsa flood, 5,000 missiles were launched against Israel. This is the third intifada, as it is being called. So this intifada was being led by him only, by the name of Yahya Sinwar. Now Israel says that we have our own Osama, and this is nothing but to gather support for Israeli cause. Of course, the situation is much complex than we already know it. But from the perspective of this examination, we have to put out the Indian perspective. See, the current situation, as I told you, it's pretty grim. The Israeli forces have completely surrounded this region. Of course, the Mediterranean Sea is open so that the people of Gaza can flee from here. And they have given a deadline. Till this much time, you have to completely evacuate North Gaza. And this is a classic case, according to the UN, a classic case of mass ethnic cleansing out the population based on their ethnicity. The thing right now, the question of the hour is, will Egypt open its borders to the fleeing refugees? Egypt, who also holds very dear to itself the cause of Palestine. Moving on. And this is the map that is going to show us where blasts are happening. Here in Bethlehem, in West Bank, Jerusalem, Ramallah, in Israel, Far Aviv, even Tel Aviv, which connects Israel to the rest of the world, is being bombed. Here are the Hamas militants, and this region has also been evacuated by Israeli people who were living there. As I have already told you that all the eyes right now are on the Rafah crossing. There are 3 crossings, out of which one crossing, that is Rafah crossing, is in the control of Egypt. News was coming out that Israel, Egypt and the USA will broker a deal together in which this crossing will open for a point of time, And the refugees, of course, from here they will be called to be the refugees for Egypt. They will come over here. Another thing is that now questions are being asked by the Arab countries. Are you opening your homes to refugees or not? The Gaza refugees. It is also being said that only 24 hours worth of fuel is left and aid is left to the hospitals in Gaza. When that ends, more and more people are going to die. So it's, according to the UN, a classic case of ethnic cleansing. But what is the UN doing? Unable to bring out a statement even. Moving on. Israel may be on the verge of mass ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. This is also being called as Nakba. One Nakba happened in 1948, in which the Gaza Strip, from there, Palestinians were fleeing. Second Nakba, 1967, this is also the third Nakba. And this is so sad right now, even for anybody, any human being, that the world is not being able to do anything. Pictures are coming up. Some pictures are a part of the propaganda and perspective. This is a battle of the perspective. So some pictures are a part of the propaganda. Some pictures are true. Whom to believe and whom not to believe. This is a battle of perspective and we are losing it. Moving on. Recently, many Palestinian organizations said to the UN, you failed to bring relief to Palestinians. The kind of silence you have maintained on this entire issue shows that even you are complicit in the entire crime. However, the United Nations Security Council did meet for a point of time, for a brief short point of time. A consensus was not being able to reached upon because Russia wanted more condemnation against the Hamas. But many other countries were not actually with it, with Russia on this. Moving on. How and why the UNSC is proving to be incompetent time and again? First of all, India has called for the change or reform in many multinational bodies and international bodies. One is the United Nations Security Council, which is dominated by the permanent five, the P5, including Russia. The thing is that whenever any resolution is passed or has to take place for an action to do, what happens? A resolution, first of all, is introduced. If 5 countries of the permanent 5, USA, UK, China, Russia, and France, if all these 5 countries agree, then only that particular resolution can move forward. But time and again, we have given this absolute veto power to these countries. If even one country out of these 5 countries vetoes to the resolution, that resolution is dead. That is why no condemnation or action against Russia could take place on a global scale, because Russia is a part of the P5 and Russia has been according to some, the aggressor. Now we are not talking about individual opinions. We are talking about from the perspective of India. India has never called it an invasion. That is why we are not going to use that word. So Russia, because of the veto power, could easily sail through the entire situation. And because of this veto power, time and again, the countries who have been a part of the P5 abuse this power. Moving on. As you can see, the functions and power, there is also a power by the United Nations Security Council to take military action against an aggressor. But it has failed to do so. Why? Because USA is an ally of Israel. Moving on. Now, as I have already told you, Operation Neptune Spear will be talked about for a point of time. This was the situation, or this was the operation that was approved to kill Osama bin Laden. And it all started with the attacks of 9/11. The most wanted terrorist at that moment of time was none other than Al-Qaeda's leader, Osama bin Laden. In 2007, US officials gathered some intelligence about his residence. There was a place in Pakistan by the name of Abbottabad, just few kilometers from Islamabad. This compound that was in Abbottabad had extensive security situation going on. This kind of security had to be given to somebody who was, of course, one of the most wanted persons in the world. So they got in touch with some intelligence and a person who was a very close ally of Osama bin Laden in 2007. After that, Barack Obama, he gave approval to SEAL Team 6, which is United States Naval Special Warfare Development Group. So they went through a special training And in 2011, they had to give action to this training. So this compound was something like which was hosting Osama bin Laden. And choppers took off from Afghanistan. One chopper landed but crashed. Another chopper came. The SEAL Team 6, they barged in, killed Osama bin Laden, and then they buried them in the sea. This was Operation Neptune Spear. Many of you may be wondering, why was he buried at the sea? There was a very important reason that was given by the USA. All the Islamic practices were followed for his burial, and it is said that in Islam, as soon as one dies, they have to be buried. Of course, after all the practices and the rituals take place. But he was brought to Afghanistan. His samples were collected so that DNA could be matched. He had so many clones. His DNA had to be matched in order to confirm this report that he has died. So after this happened, he was buried at the sea. The location is undisclosed. First reason that was given by the USA was, we did not want a shrine to be built at his burial place so that his followers cannot amass over there. Whenever followers amass over there, there is the ideology going on that he has been martyred. So first that. And secondly, the USA back then did not have a lot of time to build consensus among other countries where to bury him. So Islamic practices were followed, but his location of burial is undisclosed. We do not know where exactly he has been buried. Moving on. This is a prelims question for you to solve. You have to match the operation with the country it is being undertaken or has been undertaken. Neptune Spear, UK, Iron Sword, Israel, Sukoon, UAE. How many of the pairs given above is or are correct? Answer it correctly and I will take your names in the upcoming segment. Thank you so much.